Arsenal 3, Liverpool 2. And it's a result that puts Arsenal back top of the table on 24 points. Good for them. And Liverpool remain on 10 points after 8 games. 14 points behind Arsenal. Arsenal have played one game more. Who would have thought this would happen? I would have said it was impossible at the beginning of this season for Liverpool to be in this position. 2 wins out of 8 Premier League games. It's hard to believe. This is the team that nearly broke all records last year. Could have been the first team ever to win the quadruple. The team that's got the furthest, the closest to winning the quadruple. And now we're looking like a mid-table team at best. For a bit of context, Bournemouth are ahead of Liverpool now. That's right, the team we beat 9-0 earlier in the season. There's been some terrible performances already this season. Napoli dominated us in Naples. United were by far the better side at times at Old Trafford. But there was something about today's performance that felt even worse. And I think it stems from how the second half performance went. We got back into the game at 2-2. Probably didn't deserve it. Weren't playing very well. Scored actually from our only shot on target in the second half. But then Arsenal just had sustained attacks and it looked like we couldn't put a pass together. We just resorted to long balls, hopeful play. And once Arsenal went ahead, Saka scored the penalty after 76 minutes. And I can remember there's so few games in Klopp's reign where I didn't feel like we could get back into the game. I felt like there wasn't a chance. We didn't show anything after the goal. They're around 8 minutes extra time played. That means Liverpool had about 24 minutes to try to at least show signs of life, to threaten Arsenal, to at least make it difficult for them. It never happened. It didn't come. The game just petered out. And I think that was the most disappointing thing. It never felt like we were going to get back into the game. It never felt like there was a comeback on the cards. Like in past seasons, when Liverpool are behind with 10 minutes left, you are going to get an onslaught on that defence no matter who we are playing against. Today, there was nothing. So what's going wrong with Liverpool this season? Seems like everything, to be honest. But in terms of some just high-level, big indicators, the team have conceded twice as many goals at this time this season than they had this time last year. They've conceded first in 9 of the last 11 Premier League games. They've only kept 2 clean sheets in the last 12 games, whereas the prior 12, before that, they had kept 10 clean sheets. I mean, this deterioration is alarming. The last crazy stat that I heard today was that Liverpool have trailed longer in games this season than they had in the entirety of last season. Something is drastically wrong. And in a sense, it said it all that Klopp, after 7 years in charge of Liverpool, playing 4-3-3 all the time, that was his tried and trusted formation. He's now switched to a 4-2-3-1, or almost like a 4-4-2, which is what we saw today. You have to think that for all the success he's had, things have to get pretty damn bad to feel like you have to change things. I felt encouraged after the Rangers game with the formation switch. I thought that the amount of control Liverpool demonstrated in that game was better than we'd seen really this season, and we managed to restrict the opposition to very few opportunities, just a couple laid on. And I thought that was promising. It looked more like the Liverpool of old. But then this performance follows it up. And if anything, it just feels like the problems are even bigger than we could have imagined. In terms of the game itself, Liverpool have had so much trouble conceding early and conceding first in games this season. And it didn't even take them 1 minute to do so in this one. I mean, at this point, it's unforgivable. How many times can you make... I'm repeating myself every week as well, but how many times can a team make the same mistakes over and over? We just simply can't seem to be able to keep it solid. Martinelli was destroying Trent on the right-hand side. Shock, right? I don't think... I mean, I want to defend Trent, and I try to, and he's got so many good qualities as a player, but he's an absolute liability in defence. I think the lesson is that if you play in a dominant side, if you're Barcelona, peak Barcelona, if you're Bayern, yeah, you can probably get away with having Trent on the right-hand side. He can express himself, you dominate the game. He doesn't have to do that many defensive actions. But now that the whole team isn't functioning properly and he's being put under more pressure, he is being found out in a dramatic way. And you have to say, when Gomez came on the second half, yeah, we didn't really have that out ball on the right-hand side that we normally have with Trent. But at least he can put in a tackle. He was able to show some pace, show some strength, show some anticipation on the defensive end. He's closing gaps. like there's a lot of defenders in the Premier League who are quick, who are strong, who are switched on, and who are intense. And they can at least put on a fight against top quality wingers. Trent just can't do it. Couldn't get close to Martinelli. And I can't say any of us are surprised. So Liverpool go behind early again. Slowly climbed their way back into the game. And it was a good goal from Núñez. Diaz did well, got down the right-hand side, played it in. Núñez, again, made a good run, good pace, managed to finish it off. And I was delighted for him. Like, he really, really needed that goal. He's been taking a lot of shots in recent games, but his conversion rate is only apparently about 8%. It's been poor. So I was thinking, okay, great, got the goal, got the equaliser. Now, let's start playing. And I felt like we were the better team towards the end of the second half when we were growing into the game, starting to put some nice passes together. And then a moment of absolute madness. We're in the 4th or 5th minute of the first half of extra time. And we've got a free kick around the halfway line. Tsimikas is taking it. And we throw everybody up as if it's the last 2 minutes of the game and we're chasing a result. The defenders go up. The forwards are all forward. And we get hit on the counter with just Trent and Henderson back. Tsimikas trying to get back into position with about 5 Arsenal players coming forward, 3 open at the far post. And we concede a counter-attack goal that was completely unnecessary. Like, was it the coaches who wanted us to throw that many bodies forward at that point in the game? Was it the player's decision? I mean, either way, it was stupidity, really. And then even on that right-hand side with Martinelli, you've got Trent and Henderson both trying to close him down, spins away from both and still gets his ball across. And that was one thing that really was sticking out for me in this first half and in the whole game, to be honest. The amount of times Arsenal players ran significant distances with the ball or played 1-2s in tight spaces. But the challenges just didn't come. This is not Liverpool. Historically, it's so hard to play through us. If you want to cover a lot of yards, you're going to have to ride multiple challenges to get through. But players are running through without tackles, without challenges coming through. And it's very, very concerning. The second half was terrible. I found it really hard to watch. Arsenal were doing to us what we would normally do to other sides. They were pressing high with intensity, with pace, with intent to actually win the ball. We couldn't play through the midfield. And continuously we're just lumping these long balls forward, having very, very little success, if any, from them. And it wasn't just the normal suspects, it was Thiago as well, our best passer of the ball. Looking so average in this game, giving it away continuously, playing passes he shouldn't have played. Very, very concerning. We fortunately managed to get another equaliser, scored from our one shot on target in the second half. And fair play to Firmino. I mean, it seemed like he was 5th choice forward at the start of the season, but he's top scorer with 6 goals. Salah only has 2 goals in the Premier League. Haaland has 15. I mean, who would have thought Salah would just decline like this? And it's not looking good. He got hooked again after about 67, 68 minutes. And I wasn't surprised. He was pretty much anonymous. After we got the equaliser, though, again for the second time, Arsenal started pressing more and more. They were winning the ball back early. They had moments of sustained pressure. It was a soft penalty. And to be honest, Liverpool could have had a penalty in the first half with that handball from Gabriel, which was, it was a blatant handball. It was close, but it was blatant. It did feel like we didn't quite get the decisions today. But you can't say you would have been shocked that Arsenal gotten the lead again for the third time in the game. And as I said, Liverpool just had nothing left after that. They didn't even nearly look like scoring another equaliser. And once those changes were made, Konate came on for Matip and Elliott came on for Salah. And we were nearly playing this conventional 4-4-2 with Henderson on the right, Elliott on the left, and Firmino and Nunes up top with Fabinho and Thiago in midfield. It looked really, really bad. We looked so limited. And that's part of the problem when you try to shift formations mid-season. We've been buying players for a 4-3-3 because that's what we've been playing for 7 years. Now if you want to change to a 4-4-2, I mean, you can't have Henderson on the right-hand side of a 4-4-2. That is a bottom half Premier League side wide player. Like Henderson, look, he's still a really strong player in the centre. But it didn't work. Possession-wise, Liverpool had 56%, but to be honest, they weren't going anywhere with a lot of it. A lot of it was in their own half. Arsenal had 11 shots, Liverpool 8. Liverpool put 3 in target and scored 2. So, to be honest, 3-2 was probably flattering based on how well Liverpool played. We posted a lot more shots in other games this season and not managed to score. Or at least scored a much lower conversion rate. And the XG reflects Arsenal's dominance in the game. They had a 2.82 XG. Liverpool just had a 0.77. More than 3 times Liverpool's XG. I mean, what that says is, you replay that game over and over and over. You play it 10 times, Arsenal are probably going to win. Arsenal are going to win most of them. That's a damning. That shows you that the underlying performance just was not good enough. In terms of individual performances, Tsimikas, I mean, he did okay. Caught out a few times. He definitely has more ability than Robbo to play little cute 1-2s, to maybe retain the ball under pressure at times. But he doesn't have as much pace as Robbo, and he was caught forward out of position quite a few times. Van Dijk, again, didn't look particularly dominant. Trent got subbed at halftime, which says it all. If we're not going to be a dominant side, he's going to get exposed over and over. And it seemed like he was under specific instruction for this game not to push forward too much, so he wouldn't be caught out of position consistently on the transition. Still didn't help his one-on-one ability though with Martinelli. As I said, Thiago, from his standards, I mean, he's an elite player. But he normally always plays in dominant sides, and he looked well off it today. From what he can do, he was off it. Henderson had an okay game. Fabinho came on for maybe 20 minutes. I'm not sure. He made a lot of tackles. Pretty sure they might have been all fouls. Kind of sums up his performances this season. Diaz played pretty well. He went off injured with a knock to the knee. And it's worrying. He's probably been our brightest spark this season, and it looks like he might be out. Jota, I thought, played very well in the first half. I liked his pace. I liked his intensity. Had some nice moves. But as the game went on, he just got sloppier and sloppier and sloppier. His hold-up play was poor, kept giving it away. Nunes was isolated in the second half. He's caught offside a lot. Didn't really offer anything. Firmino scored a great goal for the equaliser. I mean, I've seen him struggle to score much easier finishes than the one he scored today, which was moving out wide on his left foot. He managed to find the bottom corner. It was an excellent finish. Otherwise, though, struggled to get in the game. A couple times had some nice touches, but some loose passes as well. Overall, it's so concerning. To be outplayed like that today, it doesn't happen to us very often. And it just shows you some of the growing pains that we're going to have if we persist with this new formation. And I gotta say, I'm worried about City next weekend. When we played them in the Charity Shield, we actually dominated. We outplayed them midfield, which almost never happens to City. And at that point, it looked like the old us. That wasn't even that long ago. It was early August. But how we've fallen so far, so fast, I'm finding it very, very difficult to comprehend, to get my head around. Klopp really needs to earn his stripes, needs to earn his paycheck right now. Can he turn around the poor form of so many players? Because that's what's happening right now. It's poor defensively. We don't seem to be able to build through midfield. We don't have sustained pressure in attack. We don't look like we really have a plan going forward. Again, I mentioned this in the last video, but now if you strip out the Bournemouth game, that 9-0 victory, we have a negative goal difference, a -1 goal difference after 8 games. I mean, we had to readjust expectations. The league was gone weeks ago. Champions League. We've got to get it together soon or we're going to be out of that race also. And the problem with that is, we've been trying to get Jude Bellingham thinking that he's going to be the one to revitalise this midfield. He's not going to want to come to Liverpool if we can't get top 4 at least. You'd think he might only want to come if we're title challenging, but at least top 4. I think the scouts have to be working hard, ready to pull the trigger on something big in January. We got to somehow get through this next period and start putting some performances together, because it is way, way under the standard that this team have set for themselves. I don't believe we've become a bad team overnight. It's not possible. This side have been consistent for far too long for that to happen. But as the weeks go on and we're just throwing up poor performance after poor performance, it's becoming more and more disheartening. And it's getting to the point now where you almost feel like you want to draw a line through the season and just write it off. We've got to figure out a way to get performances back on track to save this season. See you in the next video.